Do you believe in time machines? The machine you see before you was never that when I first found her. Yet she became one. She carried me back into my past, even as she whispered the truth of my present. And what a journey it has been. Like every story of mine, this one too begins at home in Bangalore. With a quiet farewell to my family, I set off at first light on what would become the longest ride of my life on two wheels. The plan was simple, 4,000 kilometers in 10 days. But this was never about the destination. It was always about the road, a chance to discover my country in ways few dare to do, or perhaps even can. But before we dive into the story, let me introduce its lead characters, starting with the GSA 1250, the elegant R90 1200, and the sleek Triumph Street RRR 765 that just zipped past. First, we have the Breacher, a limited edition olive green BMW GSA 1250, a towering giant in olive green, the warhorse, built to smash through highways, mountains, and monsoon floods. And yes, even a few NPCs along the way. Like this man here, casually strolling across a highway, phone glued to his ear, must be an urgent call. But his slow steps tell another story, a belief in invincibility. Then comes our captain, the Pathfinder, the rare silver BMW R90 1200. Timeless, almost mythical. A machine that carves its own trails through forgotten roads, guided only by instinct and raw feel. The Pathfinder will always find the way. But left or right, that you'll never know until the moment comes. And finally, the Triumph Street RRR 765. The sniper. It hunts from the shadows, waits for its opening, then strikes with precision before vanishing again. Not much needs to be said about this one because most of the stories on this channel are already about her. Getting back to the story, I am on my way out of the city. This journey is about more than just the 4,000 kilometers ahead. It is about experiencing every city I pass through, the beauty of its places, and above all, its people. Here, a gang of kids spend their morning collecting donations for a village festival. Up front and center, the boy in charge, the leader. On the right, the accountant, armed with his notebook and pen. The rest, their loyal henchmen. I love how their eyes light up at the sight of the bike, yet no one breaks character, because they carry the weight of the festival finances on their small shoulders. Kids are really the best. The cities I'm riding through lie along the coast. Hot and humid for most of the year, save for those few winter months that are just about bearable. That's why I chose the monsoon for this journey. The air is cooler, the heat subdued. But there's a catch. A depression in the Bay of Bengal means I may be riding straight into a cyclone. Already, I've been drenched twice on my way to Chittoor. And then, as if on cue, the heavens opened up. Suddenly, the world transformed, and I was riding through a postcard. Looking around, it's easy to see why Lord Venkateshwara chose this as his earthly abode. It could not be more beautiful. I suppose we've gone past introductions by now, yet I must add, on this road, on a bike like this, at this time, I feel complete. We all wrestle with the timeless dilemma, balancing money, time, and age. For us Indians, there is a fourth pillar, the strength and support of family. And as I open up the throttle into the unknown, I feel rare, fortunate, and grateful to have all four on my side. I took 2 breaks on my 12-hour ride to Vijayawada, just ate a small snack and drank some water. The rest have been a slow, steady ride north. Day 1 of this journey turned out to be the longest ride of this trip, nearly 700 kilometers at a stretch. Hours in the rain, then hours under the sun, and then back into the rain again. By the time I finally stopped, I was ready to rest and prepare for day 2, when the team would join and the real journey would begin. Just the first day alone has been epic, and a quick word about the triple. If I had any doubts about taking her on such a long ride, they've vanished. She's been flawless on the highways. Day 2, the team is finally together. Bags packed, bikes serviced and checked, we roll out. The first stop, Visakhapatnam. Though still in the same state, this leg demands a halt. Yesterday, I pushed almost 700 kilometers at a stretch, so today's 350 feels lighter. But with half the riding time, it still means more than 6 hours in the saddle. Add food stops, and we're looking at over 7 hours on the road. By the end of the stretch, we'll be closer to the coastal roads. They promise to be breathtakingly beautiful, but with a cyclone brewing, beauty may just come with a shadow of fear. Even with the sudden showers and slick roads, Andhra Pradesh reveals its beauty. Highways here carve their way through farms, forests, mountains, and rivers. The road itself demands seriousness, but the sidelines whisper peace. And through it all, 3 machines roar on, thundering across some of the most breathtaking scenery I've ever seen. High speeds or low, city roads or village lanes, highways or back streets, it carries the same calm, unshaken attitude through it all. I could be pushing 200 and this beast would still stroll past, effortless, unbothered, as if speed itself were beneath it. Back to talking about the road, it feels incredible to be here in this moment with the boys, just cruising across India. And if you're watching this, you'll have to admit, it does not get any better than this. Overcast skies, the sun peeking through now and then, and the open road stretched before us. No hurry, no urgency, just riding because we choose to, reaching places on our own terms. No boarding gates, no queues, no turbulence, no crying kids in the seat behind, and no clock to obey. But like every traveler, we are simply moving forward. Unlike a chartered vessel guided by someone else, the responsibility of following the map, of making sure we don't end up in the wrong city, rests entirely on us. Yet with Google Maps, getting truly lost is almost impossible. A wrong turn might cost 2 extra hours, but never the journey itself. For us, the adventurers of this age, the road has been made easier. I have mixed feelings about that, but it has become habit now. A quiet reliance to stay on course. We check the maps, make sure we're on course, and off we go. When we first arrived in Vizag, we found ourselves on the wrong side of the road to truly experience the coast. So this view comes from our second leg on the way back. Visakhapatnam boasts a coastline stretching nearly 32 kilometers, lined with beaches and coastal landmarks. This road, perhaps the most recognizable in the city, is where the sea reveals itself in all its beauty. A place where locals stroll, travelers pause, and the Bay of Bengal opens wide in breathtaking panoramic views. To a motorcyclist, this road means something entirely different. A coastal beauty that begs you to open the throttle. Perhaps we didn't do it full justice, arriving at the wrong time, caught in traffic. Yet even so, it remains one of the finest experiences you can have on 2 wheels. Here, along the eastern boundary of the country, you can feel the landmass itself curve and bend beneath your tires. And really, what more could a biker ask for? On my right, a living city. Before me, mountain roads that twist and climb. To my left, beaches and the vast unbroken ocean. We're riding through a place unlike any other in this country. It makes me pause. Here I am at the extreme edge of India, where land surrenders to sea. Beyond this stretch lies only the mighty ocean, and the next road rises far away, in Myanmar, across the waters. But like I said, this road is not without its fears. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera here, but if you look closely to the left, in the distance, you can just about see a beached vessel. Riding here during the monsoon carries its own risks, and with a cyclone brewing offshore, everything could change in minutes. And it has happened before. Back in October of 2020, a Bangladeshi cargo vessel, the MV Ma, was anchored out at sea. When the cyclone struck, the ship lost its anchors and was dragged helplessly into the storm. Caught in the eye of the storm, it was flung towards the city, finally running aground at NineT Park. There are now talks of turning it into a floating restaurant or even a shore and ship resort. But truth be told, even without any reinvention, the shipwreck stands as a story in itself. Haunting, powerful, and thrilling. The day ended at the beach under skies heavy with the same ominous gloom they must have carried on the night of the cyclone. Rain was brewing on the horizon, but the wheels of our journey were already in motion. There was only one path forward. The pause by the shore was needed. Sunny skies and beaches have their joy, but an overcast beach carries a different weight, a certain melancholy, a depth that lingers. On our journey this long, at least for me, such moments bring quiet questions. What am I truly seeking, and what am I really achieving? If you zoom out for a moment, this journey becomes even more fascinating. Let me show you its scale. I started at home in Bangalore, riding north to Vijayawada, nearly 700 kilometers. From there, we pushed on to Visakhapatnam, another 350. That means I'm already over 1,000 kilometers away from where I just was 2 days ago. The next stop, Chilika Lake, pushing the total to around 1,500 kilometers. Remember this little jetty, because I plan to sit right here. Zooming out further, the road carries me to Lal Bari in Kolkata, completing a 2,000 kilometer run one way. And once I return to Bangalore, the full circle becomes 4,000 kilometers on 2 wheels. To put that into perspective, 4,000 kilometers on a motorcycle is vast. It's like drawing a line from London across the length of Europe into Saudi Arabia. Or, if you prefer the American map, from the White House in Washington, D.C., all the way to San Francisco on the Pacific coast. That's the kind of distance this ride will cover. We are ready to ride out, ready for the next leg. On to the next date. Bikes primed, excitement high, we gear up and follow the GS out into the next adventure. The Bayview Hotel, you will be missed. The food was warm, the bed was soft, the AC never failed, and though we didn't get a Bayview room, our 3 little beauties had safe and secure parking. Rolling out, we felt like superheroes riding through and beyond the city. The roads, as always in Andhra Pradesh, were beautiful. This final stretch out of the state was no exception. We didn't just ride out, we glided. Entering Odisha was an experience in itself. Just look at these roads. We're flying through a forest with hills draped across the horizon. Each time I think I've seen the highlight of this journey, something like this comes along and steals my heart all over again. With every hour we ride north, it just keeps getting better and better. The feeling of drifting into this world is beyond words. Blessed is too small a word. Orissa is pure beauty. And then, out of nowhere, it happens. The mighty Chilka Lake reveals itself. The mountains crash into the highways, the road fades into the water at its side. Scenery like this can't be scripted. It's almost dangerous. I might just lose concentration with a view like this. And, oh, wrong side of this truck. I knew I'd lost focus. Time to get out of here, fast. Chilka, you'll be the death of me. This has to be one of the most beautiful, sudden reveals of scenery I've ever witnessed. I knew from the map that the lake would appear soon, but I never expected this. This place is heavenly. A true motorist's paradise. In this moment, I couldn't be happier. The boys are waiting for me. I got so lost in the beauty of the road that I lost all sense of speed. Now we turn off the highway and take this road into Chilka Lake. I don't know what kind of roads lie ahead, but that's the adventure. We'll see soon enough. Alright then, onward and forward. And, as expected, the road is starting to get a little lakey. Water spilling over in patches. But it seems that was only one stretch. Not too bad, we're good. On the way, we googled the best spots around Chilka for a meal. The Chilka Dhaba kept popping up. One of the oldest with the most reviews. I think I may have made a mistake. Many places these days keep the word dhaba in their name but have long since graduated to proper restaurants. This one, not so much. The boys don't look too eager to step in. They're not turning back though. So let me just park. Even the cat outside doesn't want to make friends. Alright then, let's see what happens with the food. It could be worse, possibly, right? So the food turned out to be really good. The place itself, not so much. I'll admit that's probably on me. I was expecting a proper restaurant. What we got was as local as a local dhaba can get. And from that perspective, the food was spot on. Of course, we were starving and hunger can make anything taste good, but honestly, it wasn't just that. The food was genuinely decent. No restrooms though. When I asked, the staff just laughed and said, anywhere you like, just not inside the restaurant. That's where we were. Rough edges, but warm smiles. The staff was extremely nice, the food did its job, and at the end of the day, no real complaints. Well, maybe a few small ones, but nothing worth fussing about. And now on to the main event. Just look at these roads leading up to the lake. Absolutely breathtaking. After nearly 8 hours on the bike, the sight of the waterhead feels like a finish line. These weaving roads seem to cheer me on, pushing me forward to cross it. What a beauty. Honestly, it does not get better than this. And we're finally here, Chilka Lake. After hours on the road, this view feels like a reward in itself. Down there is our room right beside the pool. The resort is stunning, yes, but the real jewel of this place is, of course, the lake. Chilka is no ordinary water body. Once part of the Bay of Bengal, over thousands of years it was reshaped by the earth itself. A sandbar formed, cutting it away from the sea, and in that slow transformation, a lagoon was born. This quiet separation gave rise to something extraordinary, a living, breathing ecosystem that has stood the test of time. Excavations around the lake have unearthed ancient ship anchors and artifacts, proof that Chilka was once a thriving hub of maritime trade. Traders and sailors must have crossed these very waters centuries ago, carrying goods, stories, and ideas. The lake has always been more than a place, it has been a witness, a participant in history. Today, Chilka stretches vast and unbroken, more than 1100 square kilometers, making it the second largest coastal lagoon in the world. And within that span, life flourishes. Between 1985 and 1988, the Zoological Survey of India identified over 800 animal species here. Among them are some of the most rare and threatened: green sea turtles, Irrawaddy dolphins, dugongs, fishing cats, and the elusive spoon-billed sandpiper. Black buck roam nearby, while reptiles and amphibians add to its diversity. It is, in every sense, a sanctuary of life. Standing here, it is impossible not to feel a sense of awe. The water stretches to the horizon, reflecting the sky in silver and grey. The mountains in the distance seem to lean in and touch the lake. The breeze carries the smell of salt and earth, history and life. This is Chilka. Ancient, mysterious, endlessly alive. To arrive here after days on the road feels less like reaching a destination and more like stepping into another world. Leaving the Chilka resort, we rode through a village before merging back onto the highway. By sheer luck, the residents had all gathered at the lake for prayers, and we were able to witness a glimpse of their devotion. At the heart of this tradition lies the Kali Jai temple. Set on an island in the lake, it is dedicated to Ma Kali Jai, a local form of the goddess Kali. The legend tells of Jai, a newly married girl who was lost to a storm on these waters. and who was reborn as the goddess herself. Ever since, worshipping her is believed to bring safe passage across Chilka's unpredictable expanse. That's where the women and young girls were returning from, raped in color and faith. And as we rode out, the boys of the village lined on the roadside, reaching out to slap our palms with high fives, their laughter chasing after us as we passed. What an experience. A reminder of how endlessly beautiful my country is, in its people, its stories, its landscapes. I only hope that everyone watching this can feel some part of that love, that beauty, and that this little window into Chilka does justice to what it truly is. The road from Odisha to Bangalore turned out to be a beauty, though with its own unique challenges. Unlike the long, sweeping highways of South India, here we found ourselves weaving past an unbelievable number of cows and barricades that seemed endless. To us on motorcycles, it was a little more than a game of threading through gaps. But for anyone driving a car, I can only imagine the frustration. And then, just when the rhythm of the ride was settling in, the skies broke open, a sudden cloudburst. It wasn't rain, it was a wall of water. Within minutes, I had soaked through everything. Gloves, boots, bags, even the tiniest crevices. Nothing was spared. My phone lit up with a liquid detected error, and for a moment my heart sank. Was it just the charger, or had the phone, maybe even the wiring on the bike taken damage? We pulled off the road to wrestle on our rain gear, but by that time the damage was done. Water had found its way everywhere. I stood there staring at a charger that no longer worked, thinking of the kilometers still ahead and the tech we relied on to stay connected and on course. But that's when the magic of riding as a team comes in. The Pathfinder, ever dependable, pulled out a spare cord and a power bank, handing me a lifeline in the rain. A small gesture, but in that moment, it felt like a rescue. With that, we were back on the move. The roads remained beautiful, lined with wet fields and villages shimmering under the storm. The rain continued to test us, but the ride didn't stop. If anything, it reminded me that this journey was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be lived, rain or shine. We each came up with our own strategies to dry off. I mounted my phone sideways, hoping the wind would clear the charging port. Meanwhile, the Pathfinder transformed into a high-speed clothesline, bits of gear fluttering behind him. From where I rode, he looked like Batman. And suddenly, it all made sense. Of course, Batman's cape is always dry, no matter the weather. It turned into a light-hearted stretch of the ride, shaking off the storm, laughing at our makeshift solutions. A little dip in nature's shower, followed by the road reminding us why we love it. I wrapped my phone in plastic once it started charging again. No sense in tempting fate a second time. The road stretched on, rain still coming in bursts, and then came the usual sight, the random ninja rider. By now it was the fourth time I'd waved him off. He kept shadowing us, signaling for us to pull over. I'm sure he only wanted to say hello, but it left me wondering. Why try so hard to stop fellow riders in the middle of a highway? Some mysteries of the road, I guess, better left unanswered. One of the most interesting stretches of road in Odisha is the run between Bhubaneswar and Cuttack. On the map, it doesn't look like much, just a short 20-minute ride, but on the ground it transforms into something else entirely. The traffic here is light, scattered just enough to keep you engaged. Cars, rickshaws and the occasional bus moving in their own rhythm. Not congested, but never completely empty either. For riders, that's the perfect balance. It gives you space to move, but still enough obstacles to turn it into a game. The three of us slipped into a rhythm of our own, weaving and pacing, carving invisible lines through the flow of vehicles. It wasn't reckless, but it had the energy of a sprint, a little rush of adrenaline you get when the road invites you to play. And almost magically, everyone seemed to cooperate. Cars shifted aside, rickshaws moved, just enough, even buses gave us that narrow lane. For a few moments, it felt like the entire stretch was aware of us and welcoming us through. And just like that, we crossed into West Bengal. The highways began to change character almost instantly. Traffic slowly thickened, and even out here, stop signs and traffic lights began to appear. We were finally entering the land of the city of joy. And what a feeling it is. I felt more drained on short flights to Kolkata than I do now. After 4 days of non-stop riding, strange, isn't it? The body should be exhausted, but instead it feels alive. Rolling into this state, into this city after so many years, carries a different weight. Every corner feels like it has a memory waiting to surface. Every mile, a connection to something deeper. This isn't just another stop on the map, it's a return, a homecoming of sorts, and the ride here has made it all the more rewarding. To be welcomed into Kolkata on two wheels after thousands of kilometers feels truly amazing. By now, I was having so much fun that I found myself weaving through traffic for no reason at all, just enjoying the flow of it, the energy of riding through Bengal again. And then came something I hadn't seen in years, maybe something new since I was last year, the traffic signals. In West Bengal, the red light doesn't just snap to green, it blinks a few times before the change, almost like the heartbeat before the starter's pistol. Sitting there on the bike, engine humming, I realized it felt exactly like the starting line of a race. Helmets down, grips tight, eyes forward, and then green. The city releasing us all at once, like racers surging from the line. It was a small thing, but in that moment it felt electric. A reminder that every road, every spotlight can hold its own thrill if you're willing to feel it. This is the official gateway into Kolkata from Howrah. The Vidyasagar Setu, better known as the second Hooghly Bridge, stretching across the mighty Hooghly River, it connects the twin cities of Howrah and Kolkata. Construction began in 1979, and after more than a decade of engineering, it finally opened to traffic in 1992. At that moment, it wasn't just another bridge. It became the first cable-stayed bridge in India and also the longest of its kind in the country. Riding across it now, after days and thousands of kilometers on the road, the experience feels monumental. It isn't just an entrance to the city. It feels like crossing a threshold into history, into heritage, and into the heart of Bengal. And with that, we reached Lal Bari in Kolkata. Built around 1900 by the eminent barrister and politician Ashok Roy, this red brick mansion would later become synonymous with the Roy family. Sudhir Kumar Roy, father of Siddhartha Shankar Roy, once rented it, and in the 1950s, Siddhartha himself purchased the home, having spent much of his childhood here. Siddhartha Shankar Roy, a towering political figure, he went on to serve as Chief Minister of Bengal between 1972 and 1977. He was the Union Minister of Education, the Governor of Punjab, and India's ambassador to the United States. Lal Bari has long been more than just a home. It has been a stage of history. Mahatma Gandhi even delivered a speech from its ornate veranda. And the house also welcomed Motilal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Pandit Ravi Shankar, and many others. Recently, the Kolkata Municipal Corporation recognized Lal Bari as a heritage building, formally acknowledging its cultural and historical importance. A two-story red brick bungalow on an expansive plot in the heart of the city. Lal Bari reflects the elegance of Kolkata's colonial-era mansions. Burmese teak interiors, handcrafted furniture, king-size beds, writing desks, and hardwood floors. Siddhartha Roy's law chamber and library brim with rare books, some dating back to 16th century England, along with an extraordinary collection of autographed frames and documents. The walls are adorned with Nek Chand sculptures and signed memorabilia from leaders and icons: Indira Gandhi, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bill Clinton, and Dalai Lama. The very veranda where Gandhi once spoke still stands intact, opening into a lush garden often used as a film location and deeply reminiscent of classic Bengali cinema. Today, Lal Bari is not just a relic, it is alive. Siddhartha Shankar Roy's niece, Auntie Ailina, welcomed us with warmth and grace. Though transformed into a heritage homestay, many rooms remain preserved in their original form. The members of the Roy family still reside here, carrying its legacy forward. Standing within these walls, it feels less like visiting a house and more like stepping into the living memory of a nation. We made the best of it by enjoying the food and hospitality of the City of Joy, and then cleaned ourselves up for the journey back. And so begins our ride back to Bangalore. The same 2,000 kilometers we rode north, we now ride south over the next 4 days. Kolkata will forever remain the city of joy. A warmth for its people lingers, helpful, curious, always ready to speak in whatever language they can just to ask about the bikes. And the kids are the kids. Their excitement is pure, and I can't help but rev the throttle a little every time I catch their eyes. For them, these machines are not just bikes, they're dreams on wheels, a glimpse of aspiration. It was still raining when we set off, and we left later than planned. We should have rolled out by 4:30, but by the time we said our goodbyes at Lal Bari, it was already 5:30. Once again, I have to thank Auntie Ailina for her hospitality. Kolkata will always mean food to me, a true paradise for the taste buds. In just 2 days in the city, we ate more than we should have, and every bite was worth it. The beauty of this place is that food here remains affordable, never losing its quality or taste. It rained without pause, and at one point we even had to wade through waterlogged streets. To see Park Street itself submerged was unfortunate. But honestly, no city could handle the amount of rain that fell while we were here. Crossing the Vidyasagar Setu once again, spanning the mighty Hooghly River, felt different this time. Not an arrival, but a departure. On the way in, it had been a gateway, a triumphant entry into Kolkata, the city of joy. Now, as we rode out, it felt like a threshold of farewell, carrying the weight of memories made and experiences gathered. The bridge itself seemed grander in this light, its massive cables arching high into the grey sky, its steel frame humming with the vibrations of countless vehicles passing over. But this is not just a bridge. This is a crossing of a river that carries centuries of history, culture, and life. The Hooghly has long been a lifeline of Bengal, a channel for trade, commerce, and stories that have shaped this land. And beneath its surface lives a creature just as legendary, the Ganges River dolphin. The Ganges River dolphin is one of the most unique and endangered species in the world. Unlike the playful, smiling dolphins most imagine, these animals are built for survival in a murky, unpredictable environment. Their bodies are elongated with long, slender snouts filled with sharp teeth. Their eyes no larger than a pinhole and are not for seeing but for sensing light. In truth, they are functionally blind, but what they lack in sight, they more than make up for in sound. These dolphins live by echolocation. Every click they send into the water returns as a map in their minds, revealing prey, obstacles, and the very shape of their world. It is a form of navigation as precise as it is poetic, proof of how life adapts in extraordinary ways when faced with challenge. To think of them gliding silently beneath the surface of the Hooghly in the shadow of this monumental bridge is humbling. For me, riding across the Vidyasagar Setu was not just another moment in the journey. It was a reminder. A reminder that every river, every landscape, every stretch of road has its own story to tell. And sometimes these stories are not about people, but about the other lives, fragile, rare, and resilient, that share this world with us. And then, crossing into Howrah again, we realized our mistake, leaving far too late. West Bengal rises with the sun, and here the sun rises earlier than in the south. By 5:30, the city was already wide awake. The roads were buzzing with life, shops opening, street vendors setting up, people hurrying off to work, and children in uniforms making their way to school. It felt as though the whole world was already in motion while we were only just beginning our day. As we rolled onto the highway, the difference was immediate. What should have been a smooth early morning exit turned into a battle of patience. Buses, trucks, and lorries choked the single-lane stretch, each fighting for every inch of road space. Engines rumbled, horns blared, and the constant stop-and-go traffic made the ride draining. On a bike, you can weave through some of it, but with massive vehicles blocking both sides, even that advantage fades. It became less a ride and more a crawl. Every meter earned slowly, like grinding through a maze that never seemed to end. To make matters worse, my fuel gauge was sinking lower and lower. Each time I glanced down, the needle had dropped further. The thought of running out of fuel in the middle of this bottleneck was terrifying. There was no shoulder to pull over on, no quick escape route, no certainty that a fuel station would appear before the bike coughed dry. The nervousness grew with every passing minute. Would we have to push through this traffic? Would we be stranded here, stuck between lines of buses and trucks with no help in sight? The tension was thick enough to taste. I found myself listening for every sound from the bike, every change in tone, half expecting it to splutter out. The Pathfinder and the breacher rode ahead, their silhouettes weaving through the traffic, but in my mind, all I could think of was the sinking fuel level. And then, as if by sound grace, a fuel station appeared on the roadside. The orange sign glowed like a beacon through the chaos. Relief washed over me instantly. We pulled in, and the anxiety evaporated with the click of the nozzle and the smell of fresh petrol. Saved this time, and with the tank full again, the road ahead no longer looked like a trap. It looked like freedom, waiting to be claimed. Crossing into Odisha, I was met with an unexpected bit of news. My rear number plate had flown off somewhere along the highway. Apparently, it didn't just fall. It had the worst kind of ending. The plate slipped under the wheels of a truck charging past at high speed and was crushed instantly. The road back to Vijayawada was as serene as ever, a gentle reminder that not every part of a journey has to be dramatic. We paused once more in Vizag for the night, letting the city hold us for a final evening before turning south again. The ride itself was unhurried, laid back. A stretch of open road that asked for nothing more than just steady throttles. We stopped here and there for food, fueling both body and machine. But beyond that, there was little interruption. It was the kind of ride where the roads feel like an old friend. After another night in Vijayawada, I set out early at 4:30 a.m. The road still dark and quiet, the city barely stirring awake. This was a solo stretch home, the final push back to Bangalore. By the time I crossed Tirupati towards the road to Chittur, I pulled over for a quick water break, glancing at my numbers. I realized I'd already covered 420 kilometers since leaving Vijayawada, with just 4 hours and 20 minutes left before reaching home. It struck me as a kind of balance point, a central marker in the ride, halfway between departure and arrival, fatigue and relief. Finally, I was back on the familiar road that connects Chittoor to Tirupati. As if on cue, the weather gods themselves seemed to intervene. The skies opened up and the clouds parted, and the road ahead was bathed in light. Like I've said before, this is why I believe the gods chose this place as their earthly abode. There is something here that feels beyond explanation, a quiet magic woven into the hills, the trees, and the air itself. Riding through, you can sense a deep peace. A serenity settles into you as naturally as the rhythm of the bike. It is as though this road isn't just leading you forward, but gently reminding you of something eternal. Crossing back into Karnataka, I rode through Kolar. Just about 100 kilometers left now, and yet I found myself not wanting the journey to end so soon. After thousands of kilometers and countless stories, home was close. Kolar is known for its agriculture and silk, but most of all for the legendary Kolar gold fields, once among the richest sources of gold in India. After Tipu Sultan's defeat, the British seized control, running the mines until 1956. For generations, this land truly was the golden land of India. By 2001, the cost of extraction outweighed the value of gold and the mines closed. What remains is history, shafts, tunnels, and memories of a place that once glittered beneath the surface. Riding through, I felt that history under my wheels. A reminder that journeys aren't just about roads, but about the stories that lie beneath them. And finally, entering back into Bangalore brought with it a calm that only home can give, a sense of quiet and relief, of completion and of belonging. It feels almost unbelievable that this machine, my companion for the last 10 days, glided through so much without a single hitch. I truly got lucky with this choice. She's fast, she's comfortable, she's a head turner, and somehow she brings out the best in people wherever she goes. Because of her, I had the chance to speak to so many strangers who quickly became friends, from villages to cities all along the eastern coast. A bike can be more than just a machine. It can be a bridge, a spark that connects lives, if only for a moment. And as for our country, it is nothing short of majestic. We are truly blessed to be born here, and so is Naya. She is a time machine.